All right.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. We're so glad to see you. This is our 4th session. It's Memorial Day, and we're going to have a good time. We are recording this call for educational and promotional purposes. And for those that are here right now, we're going to ask that you take about 30 seconds to check in, let us know how you're doing, how your buddy call went. If you facilitated an empathy circle, you can tell us about that. Or if you have a question, you can just put that in the chat or tell us what the question is. So you have 30 seconds, and I'll just call on people so you don't have to decide. And we'll start with Joyce.
I had a very good week. I had 2 wonderful buddy calls. I didn't get a chance to do an empathy circle, but I do have a question. I'm wondering, is there any evidence or have we done any studies to show how our methods work with different people? And I'm wondering how they do with conspiracy theorists. Do we know? Do we have anything on that?
I'm not sure, but when we at the end we'll have a question and answer. We may be able to give that to you, give you the answer, or give you a reference. How about Mike?
Yes, I good buddy call, and I've with a I can't remember his name, but he lives in Chicago.
Me.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Daniel, who lives in Chicago. And he gave me some interesting ideas. I have a question, and that's on how to facilitate. You know, if I am gonna be facilitating an empathy circle on June 19th, and I need to know how to put people into rooms and take them out again. You know, I need that whole technical ability.
Okay, great. I'm glad y'all are, voicing your questions. If you would put them in chat, that way we'll make sure that we don't forget and we'll follow up. If not during this session, during the week. Lisa? Oh, I'm sorry, Dr.
It's okay. Either one's fine. So I had 2 connections calls. I was not able to connect with my buddy, but I was able to have 2 connection calls with some people here. So that was great.
That's good. Okay. Cyantan. Yeah. There you go.
Sorry, I'm still figuring out I get confused with the keys. So I had forgotten that I had a buddy call because it felt so much like a natural conversation. My buddy call last week was with Gabby. So it went very nice, but like I had a amazing session with Lou, and that was like, I think it started off with me ranting and scapegoating culture for my failure in starting a empathy circle. But it led to some amazing insights, and I think it was supposed to be an empathy circle, but it was just the 2 of us. But maybe we are so into the circle mode that we started reflecting and checking whether we each heard each other correct, like even spontaneously. So that was amazing. There was one more session. I've been part of quite a few empathy circles, so I don't know what it was called, but it had Bill, it had Larry, and there was a room with Larry, Graham, me, Bill, and Kathy. And that was an amazing room because apart from the cultural aspect I discussed in other empathy calls, there was this interesting aspect of gender that we discussed, and like imagined communities and how that works with empathy. So it was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Leslie.
Yeah, hi. A quiet week for me. I did sign up and join the group late, and I don't think I'm on a buddy call list, so I did not have a buddy call. I did have my fallback call, or not a call, but fallback empathy circle with Kian, which was great, and yeah, pretty quiet week.
Great. Daniel?
Well, I had a very good buddy call with Mike, and I could just repeat what he said. I think we gave each other some ideas. He has done an empathy circle on YouTube, and then he connected up with a radio station. So that got my gears moving. I'm in the process of planning a series of empathy circles locally in Chicago on public safety. We've got several volunteers, and I've been a little lazy about scheduling it, but I'll figure that out. Scheduling them.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Daniel. Maureen.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Yeah, I've been doing some facilitation of empathy circles on Zoom. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to have the empathy circle person to person in the festival, which is coming up. So that'll be another way to use the same skills, but will be a different dynamic. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right, great. Katie.
Yeah, so I had a really great, much longer than anticipated buddy call that just turned into a really nice chat with Dwayne this week. And apart from a bunch of other stuff we talked about, we had a nice chat about me getting to know a bit more about the kind of history of the empathy movement. And it got me thinking about some things of how to get involved more and some ideas. So I felt really, really excited after that. And also, hosted a circle with Gabby and Jane again this week, which it was the first time that I'd hosted without their help, because we had enough people that we split into 2 rooms, and it was a really good experience.
Great. Glad to hear that you all are using your skills. Gabby?
Okay, hello everyone. Can you hear me? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So I co-hosted the circle with Dwayne and Katie the last week, and was a lot of challenges. So maybe today I'm not gonna choose any challenging situation. We're gonna stay like chill.
Yeah.
And I'm learning a lot, and I'm super grateful to have both of them co-hosting with me. Thank you.
All right. Taria, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Great.
I'm happy to be here and see everyone. And I didn't have a buddy call this week because life is so alive for so many of us. It's hard to find. But what I did enjoy was just the email exchange about how we were going to have it and didn't have it. So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's all for me.
All right, Marissa.
Hi, I was lucky enough to be able to connect with one other cohort participant here, and that was a great conversation, as well as Larry for my buddy call. And we had a great conversation as well, and I tried a new format, which was really helpful just to help me deepen my understanding of like various ways that this can go. Really positive experience. Thank you.
Great. Jean?
I had a buddy call with Bill, which was great, about implementing empathy practices. I wouldn't say really a circle, but practices with children, and how that can just sort of help with the flow of day to day. And so I look forward to trying that out. And I had a question. I do have a loosely scheduled an empathy circle at work, and I'm curious about how to structure it or facilitate it in a way that accounts for the power dynamics, like allowing people to be sort of forthright and honest when their boss is on the line. And so ideas about topics or questions that are good for that.
Okay, great. And if you would put that question in chat so we don't forget it. And Jen?
Yeah, hi everyone. I did have a buddy call this week. It was nice to talk with Joyce. And yeah, we had a really good conversation. And then I did join an empathy circle, the one with Gabby and Dwayne and Katie, and that was a really great experience. And then I facilitated an in-person circle with some people that I was with, actually really close friends that I've known since I was young, and went really well.
Great, great. Did I miss any of the participants? Okay. Do we have time? Where's Bill?
Let's see. I'm around here. I'm skulking.
Okay.
Yeah, we have time.
Oh, there you are. Okay. All right. Well, let's start with Ann. If you would, Ann, just check in for us or with us. And mute it.
Yeah, good to see you all, and good to be back with you. I was in the field in the middle of nowhere last week with no connectivity, so it's good to be back amongst you and see your faces. Thank you.
All right. We'll go with Larry and then Dwayne.
Okay, I had a wonderful buddy call with Marisa and doing about 5 or 6 empathy circle calls a week. So
wow,
glad to be here and see all these beautiful smiling faces and the aliveness and the awareness of now. Thank you.
Great. Dwayne?
As already been mentioned, I participated in an empathy circle with actually Gabby, Katie, Jen, Cyantan, and it was a really enjoyable experience. I had a very short buddy call with Katie that really enjoyable, where we covered a lot of things in a really short period of time. So but overall, I'm happy to be here. This is my Memorial Day celebration here, so I'm glad to be with you all today.
I'm so glad to see that we're all making connections with each other. That's great. Altonia? And Celine afterwards. I'm sorry. And Celine after you. I'm sorry.
I didn't have a buddy call because the person I reached out to said, hey, I'm not interested anymore. So that was okay. But yeah, I'm just enjoying the process right now. And I did put in the chat, though, if anyone has not had a buddy call yet, to email Empathy Circle Training at Gmail to let me know, because that means you're not on the list, and I have to put you on the list. So so yeah, I'm glad everybody just enjoying the buddy call. So
yeah, the buddy calls are important. It's a way to connect, and it's a way to have some one-on-one time with the trainers or other participants. So it's really important. Celine?
Yes, I had a great buddy call with Marley, who isn't here right now. We just shared about a lot of different interests and enjoyed, very enjoyable. Thank you.
Great. Lou?
Yeah, I'm just really happy to be here this morning and to see everyone's faces. Great, very grateful that all of you would take your Memorial Day holiday and come to the training anyway. And so really grateful for that. And I also just want to acknowledge that I had this wonderful call with Cyantan where from my perspective, I learned a lot about Indian culture and got my awareness raised about the importance of, and this is not just Indian culture, but staying conscious about the culture in which you are trying to introduce empathy circles, and looking at language, even what you call it, how you describe it, and not so much changing the structure. The structure needs to, I would say needs to stay the same, because that's actually what creates what happens in the circle. But the way you describe it and the way you introduce it, you really want to adjust that for the culture that you are bringing it into.
Great point. Bill?
Yeah. So I had a great call with John, and So I was afraid I gave him, I geeked out. And so actually I've been thinking about it. And if you want some more, I'll send you an email. If not, then just send some garlic or put some garlic on your door and it'll keep me away. Yeah, and I'm just really happy that everybody's here. I've been a little bit scattered, but it's always just so reinvigorating to see you all here and your commitment. Thank you.
And I'll be last. It's been a great week. I'm really glad to see everyone here today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day once we finish. Unfortunately, I could not connect with my buddy. We just couldn't get a good time. So, but we will later. And now I guess I will. Did I miss anyone? Isa. Okay.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I had a good experience with Joyce. It was very rich. I connected with her on a very deep level. And yes, I'm grateful and inspired. Thank you.
All right. Did I miss anyone else? Okay. No, Larry. Didn't Larry? Larry, did you have an opportunity to check in?
Had a wonderful buddy call with Marisa. And I'm still happy to see all of your beautiful smiling faces here on Memorial Day. Did you hear me this time? Thank you.
All right.
Double dipping.
That's okay. All right. I guess it's time for me to turn this over to Celine. Is it?
Are we doing the questions? Yes.
Session feedback. Yeah.
Session feedback. First of all, I want to apologize to everybody who was frustrated that the link that you got didn't work. And I'm sorry about that. And I am happy that Isa has been able to harvest some questions and is going to lead us in looking at them. You're muted right now, Isa.
Muted.
Okay, yes. Okay, so a few questions came in. And so regarding, okay, so the first one regards conspiracy theories. So how well would Empathy Circle do with conspiracy theory holders? Do we have much or any experience with that? And the basic answer is you listen and reflect what they are saying like you would with anyone else. Remembering internally that reflecting is not agreeing. And when it's your turn to speak, you can say whatever you want about what they said if you wish. No one can say for sure what influence the circle will have on anyone. So in my experience, being heard and hearing others over a period of time tends to make people more reflective. And then there's another question.
So Isa, can I say one little thing, add to that, please?
Yes.
Don't underestimate the effect that being heard has on people. When I've had a circle where there's something, really controversial and people were nervous about it, the fact of being heard relaxes people. And I think especially people who maybe have opinions that often nobody wants to listen to, it's just a relief. So that it works. Listening works. Thank you. Thank you, Isa.
Yes, thank you, Celine. And there's another question. How can I facilitate an empathy circle in Italian or another language without having any other facilitators with me? How might I facilitate an empathy circle in person? And An empathy circle can be facilitated in other languages by facilitating a small group first, for example, yourself and at least one other person. Explain to them about the circle and let them do all the roles. So like speaker, silent speaker, and active listener and timer. Practice with the core group and continue expanding. An empathy circle in person works the same as an empathy circle online. Do you have something to add, Celine?
No, I don't. And I know that there are empathy circles being conducted in many different languages. I've been doing it in Spanish, and I know that there are Portuguese and many languages. So it works internationally.
Thank you. Another question. What about having people with disabilities that have challenges in keeping their attention in the circle in the present moment? I would invite everyone to join into a moment of mindful, silent presence, pausing, and stating the intention of self-connection and compassion. And then I would continue and incorporate mindful silent pauses as needed. Celine?
Thank you, Isa. I really like what you just said, and I agree. And we can do it for all circles. And I think if there's a capacity to listen and to reflect back, the rest can be adapted as needed. Thank you.
There's another question. How do you introduce an empathy circle to those who are used to debating with each other and scoring points, or those who are looking for action points and do not see the point of just talking without coming up with a consensus about policy? I would just reflect back what was said verbatim, ideally, to avoid misinterpretations. Celine?
I agree with you, Isa. And I think if we are not activated, we can just reflect back what was said and offer the circle, offer the structure, and those who want to participate do. And those who want to do something else, they can do something else. I see Daniel has his hand raised.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on that. Because I've talked about this in other contexts, and people say things like, well, thinking and talking are actions. Americans don't like to think that way. Maybe some other people don't either. But really I was wondering if it's a good idea to try to make that point. Democracy is all about discussing and talking. And so sitting around talking is a form of action. So it is an action. It is part of an action, set of action points. I was just wondering, how do you think that would go over? Depending on who's in the room.
Yeah, well, I like what you're saying, Daniel. And, I think Anne is with us and has done a lot of circles within XR. So I would imagine you could talk with her about how that's worked.
I think Lou has something. His hand up. Lou.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, because I've had that complaint in circles that I've done, and it usually comes from people who are very action oriented. They want to solve problems. They're very oriented towards that. And the circle is not designed for problem solving. It's designed to create mutual understanding, which is an important step in order to do good problem solving. And so the people who are very action oriented, most of the time they jump over the step of mutual understanding. And so you could see the circle as a component or a tool that can be used in problem solving. It's just that the problem solving comes after you have more mutual understanding. So that's how I would talk to them about it.
So I'm wondering, is there time for another question, or how are we doing on time?
We can take another question.
Okay. So another question. What if I get so challenged or triggered by a participant or a situation that I freeze up? Or what if I just simply don't notice or know how to respond to something that is happening? So I would pause and I would connect with my feelings and spontaneously say what is happening inside in me, what's alive in me in the moment. Does anyone else have something to contribute?
I think if you don't mind, if you feel overwhelmed or something happens and you're not really sure, that you do kind of step back and acknowledge that, this just happened to the group, be authentic. This just happened. I'm really not sure how to respond, but, I'm going to do it from the heart. So you don't ignore it, just acknowledge it and deal with it. And that human side, that empathetic side will come out.
And breathe.
Yes.
I have a really quick comment. I also think it's important to be mindful to take a moment before, for myself, I always take a moment before I enter the process, before I begin a circle, to make sure where I am, and to check in with myself and everything. And it helps me to be able to manage whatever challenges that might come up in the circle or in the process that I'm working with. But I always think it's important for me to make sure that I'm aware of where I am and to do that check-in and take a moment to be still.
Yeah.
Yes, there was just one final comment. One of someone's mentioning a final comment. One of the participants expressed regret at revealing more than he had intended during his speaking portion. And as a facilitator, I felt it necessary to ask everyone to respect that and keep the conversation we had private. So that's also very important to keep in mind. So that's it for all the questions. There's a question in the chat by John. I saw someone replied to it, but I think we could go a little deeper next week, or if someone wants to comment on John's question in the chat now. But these are the questions in the feedback forms for now.
Actually, I have a quick thing. So I think one way to reduce the possibility of power dynamics happening in a circle at work would be to not have the topic be about work. So if you have them talk about something, in other words, work discussion is not allowed, then that would help reduce the power differences because you're not talking about stuff happening at work. It's one idea.
I agree, and have a subject that's positive, like what is it that brings you joy, or something like that everybody can identify with, and it's not work related. You actually connect with your coworkers and boss.
And John, if you're wanting to have the circle with a group of people at work because you want to actually talk about things at work, that's a different thing. So we could talk about that later. Maybe try to think about that.
Thank you. And now I turn it over to Celine.
So, are you ready? We're going to go into our small groups now. And today, what we propose is that you have a chance, all the participants who want to have a chance to facilitate. You do not have to do the how-to, the introduction, unless you feel it's important for you for your learning. And you can have challenges, low, medium, or medium, maybe medium plus. And We propose 3-minute turns. The facilitator chooses the topic. And that's what we'll be doing. And then we will have the last 30 minutes of our session to debrief. Is there any part of that that anybody wants to add to? Okay. We're ready to go then.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know, Anne, I got your message. Antonio will be in the room with you. So you guys, I put in several facilitators in each room. I should have 3 participants. I think that works out all right. But you may have to kind of jigger the numbers. But I believe I have, I have 2 facilitators in each room. And in room 4, you'll just have 2 participants there, so you can work around that.
How much overall time?
We'll have just about an hour and a half, an hour and 27 minutes now by my clock. All right, here we go. Okay. All right, and I have to go back to gallery view. Okay, great. All right, and Celine?
Yes.
All right. Oh, you were unassigned. I should assign you. Let me move you to room 3. Sorry about that. There you go. Okay, whoops. All right. Oh, well, all right, good. Well, you guys get a little bit more time today. Sorry, just, I don't know whether it's the alphabet, but you're in a room with me again, so I apologize. We try to move it around, but we're sort of, we haven't obviously perfected that yet. So try to give you a different, is there anybody have a strong feeling of being in a different room or anything like that? That's okay.
I want to experiment, and I really want to pause the recording this time, or you can switch me to another room. That's fine also.
Oh, you don't want to be recorded here?
Yeah, either that or you switch me to another room. That's also fine. I would want to experiment with different rooms also if possible.
Oh, okay. All right, Sayantan. Let me, okay. So I'm going to put you, let me see where there are, all right. All right. I'll put you in room 2. And when you get there, tell Joyce I'm pulling her back here.
Okay. See you guys.
Okay.
Good to see you, Stanton. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we got Alex. Okay. Alex. Hi. All right.
Late. Have I jumped into a breakout room?
Yes, you have, but that's fine. That's the main session. Good. Oh, hey, Joyce. Sorry to confuse you. We're just rejiggering the numbers here. So that's great. This is perfect. Much to my surprise. All right.
I hope the other group doesn't think I didn't like them.
No. I told Sayantan exactly what I was doing, and I sent them to your group so that they, so they got the message. Okay. All right. So in session 4, we assume you've already done the how-to. If you wish to do the how-to or you have any questions about it, that's fine. But essentially what we'll do is we'll go right into facilitation. You can ask for challenges or not, depending upon what your druthers are. And we'll go in and you'll each get about, I figure we'll do about 20 minutes overall for your facilitation. You'll keep 3-minute times. You'll also set the topic. And then we'll have about 10 minutes each for debrief. if things work according to plan, which they rarely do. So anyway, so that's it. So again, so your job again will be to, set the time for 3 minutes and move that along, set the topic. And then if you want any particular challenges or a particular type, let me know. And then I'll be the only one to do the challenges, just so people don't get inundated. Sometimes people get too excited.
We don't want that.
Is it? That's fun. So who would like to go first?
I was going to get my telephone. Apologies. I'm sorry. I've
Yeah,
put my hand up
that's
if you
okay.
want, but
That's right, Alex. Go ahead. Get yourself comfortable. Yeah.
I just had to go and get my timer. I left it somewhere else.
Oh, you have to get your timer?
I just did. I just went. And got it.
Okay, great. All right.
Well, I would be glad to go first, and I do need to do the invitation again. I really need to keep it until I get it.
Okay, that's fine. That's just part of your time, okay? So, and do you want any particular challenges or not?
Yes, I need a challenge.
Okay, any particular type that you were concerned about?
No, not really. Maybe just a medium.
Okay, gotcha. All right. And do you want any feedback after your how-to? Or do you want to just leave it to the end?
Actually, I would like some feedback.
Okay. All right. So we're going to do, so you do your how-to, keep it to 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll give you a little feedback. That's fine. Go ahead.
I would like to welcome you to this Facility Circle. It's nice to see you here. I would like to let you know that first, I'll be your facilitator, and the way the structure works in an empathy circle is that we each have a role. The roles include the speaker, and the person who is speaking has a time limit of 3 minutes to speak on either the topic that we supply or something that is dear to your heart or is crucial to you at the moment. The second role is the active listener, and the active listener will actually try to repeat to the speaker the concept that speaker is conveying. So that gives both of them a chance to understand completely what's being said. The speaker should pause periodically to make sure that he or she has explained just one concept, and then the listener will get a chance to respond to that concept. Then we have, besides the active listener, there's a silent listener, and in many cases a timekeeper. So I would like to ask someone to be a timekeeper in my group. The topic that we'll be speaking of is if you were starting a country, what attributes would you think would be most important? And it seems like there should be something else I should say, but
okay.
Ask for a volunteer to be no, I'll be the first listener. Ask for a volunteer to be the first speaker.
Right. Okay.
I just feel like I left out things. I always rush it, and then I feel like I didn't say everything.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Feedback for Joyce from Taria or Alex?
Yeah. I think it was quite clear, to be honest. Perhaps, I mean, I understand why, but I think perhaps a little rushed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because, I mean, it's really different, isn't it, when you're in a situation like this versus when it's really with new people in a new room, isn't it? So I doubt you would rush, basically.
Well, I have to consciously think, don't go so fast.
Yeah, when I'm nervous, I speak fast.
Taria?
That was the first thing I wrote down too. I process things slowly. So just for a sense of inclusion, that my listening rate would be included. And I also wrote down, I liked one of your phrases about both of them can have, you said both of them can have a sense that they're really understanding each other and fully heard. That sentence, I just made me alert.
Thank you.
Yeah. I generally, I mean, you're warm and obviously you feel comfortable. You like it, and that really conveys. And I think that's the main thing. And I have to apologize a bit because I'm multitasking, not only with the breakout rooms, but we were expecting a guy to come about the fence or something like that. My wife said, so I'm a little bit scattered. So I might have missed something. But I would just, I don't know if you went over just like there were 3 roles and then boom, boom, boom. You kind of organize things for people. I didn't hear it, and I don't know whether you got the speaker role, and that's fine. And the listener is always the trickiest thing. And that's where people are going to feel most judged, because they're going to come forward with the great ideas like I did when I started. And, that's a great idea. Why am I getting criticized? You're not being criticized. You're just asked to be in this process. And so what I'm saying is the active listener is the trickiest part. And so that's why I would spend the most time. So just a general rule of thumb, as I go through the roles, speaker, I almost say I'll be the facilitator, but you just want to give people the least amount to think about their first time as possible. So there'll be the active, the speaker, active listener, and the silent listeners. And then, speaker, blah, 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 silent listeners hold the group. And then the active listener is the one where you say, and we are here to reflect, not respond. And that's the key. Because actually, the most intelligent people will actually reflect and respond. It's not that they're, it's just not the process. So what I try to do there is in like special ed, we tried to get out of the power struggle. So it's not me telling you you're wrong, but it's just me trying to keep everybody in this process. And it's a little bit different. You might have heard this before, but the analogy I use is that, and again, it dates me, but at the turn of the year, when you keep on writing the old year on your checks, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not that you're stupid or anything like that. It's just that you're habituated to do it one way. And now you're learning the other way to do it. And sometimes it takes a little bit. And that's sort of how I did it. So that was fine though. But again, what I'm not looking for is technical perfection as much as kind of like an open, warm feeling. And if people had questions, they would ask. And I feel really, ready to ask. And then also when you get into it, then you kind of role model it.
Well, and you gave me a full 3 to 5 minutes to do that introduction, which surprised me, 3 to 5 minutes, but I think I rushed it through and maybe did it in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. And then there's an English, there's one thing that I learned as a writer, just as you go through, and I kind of do this because I tend to talk a lot, too much, is that writers just said, if you cross out every 6th word, you don't lose much, cohesion or comprehension.
Right.
And I've always remembered that. And it's true. I use any article you do, just every 6th word, just cross it out and then read it. And you're really doing fine.
You still get it.
Yeah. So that's it. So, fine job. Fine job, because, you'll get people there. And the idea is to give them the experience of feeling heard. And I feel you would get us there.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. All right. And I just wouldn't have mentioned like anybody else doing the timing. I don't know. Did you want somebody else to do the timing in this?
Well, I was told in one of the other trainings that you could have another person do the timing, and it would work better for me. I'm not a multitasker very well, but I have my little. I'm ready here. I have my little timer.
Okay, that's great. So for this, it would be better so if you practice that.
Okay.
And yes, and when you have another co-facilitator, or if somebody, they don't have to be a whatever, have a title, but if they know the process, then they can also do it as well. But for this, it would be good for you, because that's the trickiest part of this whole thing.
I know, and this little timer took me 2 sessions of struggling with it to even figure out how it worked.
Okay, but you got it now, right?
Well, I hope so. Let's find out.
Okay. All right. So go ahead. Set the topic. And yeah, and then we'll go. And then 3-minute times.
All right. The topic for today, if you choose to use that topic, is if you were to start a new country, what elements do you think would be the most important? And I will be the first listener. So who would like to be the first speaker? Alex.
I am happy to start this subject. However, it's one that really takes my mind to sort of too many places, because it's a good question, but I think the answer is really complex.
I would like to respond that you like the topic, but you find it very complex, so it takes some thinking about before you will respond.
Yes, so what comes to mind immediately for me is gender equality, because I've visited some countries where gender equality is not on the table. In fact, discrimination against women is part of law, and it changes society in such a way that I believe is truly negative.
Thank you. What I'm hearing is that the first thing you would consider would be gender equality, because you have visited countries where gender equality was not only valued, it was devalued, and that there was outright discrimination because gender discrimination was written into law.
Yes. But however, on top of this, I would also definitely consider the implications of having a family, and making sure that things like maternity leave, parental leave, I would say, was in place for either parent to choose from, much as they've done in some of the Slavic countries, because I currently now live in a country where women get up to 4 years paid maternity leave. And yeah. And
you would like
I think it's revolutionary.
All right, thank you. What I'm hearing you say is that gender equality has so many implications for family, and you'd like to see equality in terms of parental leave, so parental leave in case of having a child, as is now the case in some Slavic countries, and you are living now in a country where there is 4 years parental leave for either parent.
Yeah, and then so this, I guess I'm going to end up telling you just about the country that I'm in, but I really do think it's wonderful. It's the Czech Republic, and so not only do women get, I think it's women rather than parents. Women get up to 4 years paid maternity, and I think you have to do 2. But schools from the age of 4 upwards are free, so children can go to preschool for free from the age of 4. So women can go back into work, and if they have a contract, the employer is obliged to take that woman back after 4 years.
That's a wonderful example. It's an example of what you actually are talking about. You are living right now in the Czech Republic, which allows women, you think just women, up to 4 years after giving birth. They have to do 2 years with that child, and then but at age 4, preschool is free, so the woman is free to go back to work.
And are we up?
Time's up. I think we have time. Thank you.
I could talk about it all day.
Good.
Yeah, thank you. I feel yes, I do. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Now let's see. I choose a listener. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And I speak on the topic.
Right.
Oh, all right. Turia, would you be my listener and I'll try to speak more slowly than I normally do?
I would be happy to. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I need to turn off my timer. Well, this is interesting because I thought about my topic, but I didn't think about my answer. Um, if I were starting a country, I certainly would be concerned about the issue of equality and how I would try to establish. Um, we've already spoken or listened a little bit to gender equality, so I think I would try to focus on economic equality, and that of course includes racial and gender, but economic equality, I think, has been a tough one for any country anywhere. So how would I achieve that?
I wonder if you'd be willing to pause there.
Yes, I would.
A little bit of amusement with yourself that this topic came up so easily for you, but you didn't really actually consider it until just this moment. But very readily, it comes to you to acknowledge that, we've heard a little bit about gender equality, and what comes up for you is economic equality, that this is tough for any country and would include gender equality as well as racial equality. But there's something particularly foundational about economic equality. And I'm wondering if I'm getting you.
Yes, yes, I believe you have. Bill, you have a comment. Should we break in or just hold that?
No, I'm disrupting you.
Oh, I forgot we had challenges.
Yeah. At any point,
the topic.
at any point, if there's any confusion, you just do this and we can discuss what's going on.
Okay.
But right now, I'm disrupting. Yes.
Okay. The topic is difficult because I'm not sure any country has ever resolved this problem successfully. I do admire the Scandinavian countries where I think taxes are high, and I'm not sure that's the only approach that would work. But when taxes are giving people the opportunity to find housing and food and the kinds of things that they need, no matter what level they're making in their financially, that would be a start.
Yeah, what I'm hearing, in part at least, is the recognition that economic equality is difficult, and you're not really aware right now of any country that's mastered that successfully. But your attention does go to Scandinavia, where their taxes are higher, but it does give a broader opportunity for people for housing and more. And so you have curiosity about the Scandinavian model.
Yes. In the country I live in, anything that seems to try to create equal situations among the economic classes gets challenged as communism, and or socialism, which is a term I'm not sure many people understand. And so I still think we need to provide through the government attempts, or more than attempts, opportunities for equal financial gain.
Yeah. So you're aware in the country that you live in that efforts towards economic equality are challenged and even labeled as communist or socialist. And you don't have complete clarity about what those terms might mean, but you really do have some sense that government needs to contribute to this kind of economic equality.
Right. And I forgot to set my timer, so I don't know if
Yeah.
we're out.
Oh, it's up. Yeah. Yeah.
It's what?
Yeah. It's up.
Okay.
Hmm.
I do feel heard. Thank you, Taria.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I'm going to call a timeout here just to acknowledge this is, and I take responsibility. It's about the end of your time. You really haven't had a lot of time to facilitate. So, and that's part of the how-to, but also my time management skills. So I'm going to try to, fudge a little bit. And again, with a distraction, what you are gauging is whether the distraction is, or the problem, whatever it is serious enough to address it. Because anytime you turn your attention, you disrupt the process.
Right.
And so that's the sort of artistic decision one makes. Can I just let this guy go off in the chat and do something? And then if I were to escalate, the other thing is just to get people back in the process. So like, if you see something like that, I was, going to complain about what the subject or something like that, or when it was my turn, I don't know if we'll have enough time. We can do 1 or 2 more rounds. But you just kind of take them back to the process. So Bill, I hear you're in the chat. Please don't do that. More diplomatically than I just said it. As Lou says, you invite them in what you want to do. Hey, it seems like you have a lot of ideas. When it's your turn to speak, you'll be able to express them.
But why should I do that if it's in the chat? He's not interrupting the flow of the conversation.
Yeah, you're right. So that's a really intelligent question. And so the question is that if it doesn't seem to be bothering people, you might not intervene. That's always a choice. So sometimes one of the other things I do is I start doing exercises. And so,
Well, and I saw you get bored, but I wasn't even trying to draw attention.
You're reading too much into me. I'm too frazzled to be bored right now. So, yeah, but that is a choice. But essentially, in this particular case, if I saw one chat thing and then another one and it's complaint, that's 2 dots, points make a line. I'm kind of expecting that this person won't be happy and is going to possibly contain it. So that's fine.
What did you think about my actually addressing his points? Did that, and I don't know if that was a good thing or not.
Well, it's not, don't worry about good or not. There'll be mistakes, and that really, seriously, it's all about, being in the circle, and you are holding the circle. You'll find out. I mean, with some people, you don't know them the first time. Some people, you could let it go, and then they'll just kind of calm down, and some people will simply escalate, and that's not your fault. But I would not I would generally not comment on the issues raised in the chat, because then that would encourage my bad behavior. Yeah, right. I would say, either ignore it, or I would say, hey, Bill, you're making some comments in the chat, and that's fine. When it's your turn to speak, we'd like to hear what you had to say, and then move back on, because there is a gestalt, there's a rhythm to this, and we're trying to do it. Oh, something happened. I don't know what happened. Okay. Okay. All right.
I can't make this timer work. I am so sorry.
Okay. So yeah. So it's good to to do that, or if you have a phone or something.
Maybe do it on the phone. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, we can go on for a couple of few turns or something like that, or
okay,
or we can. You want to do that?
Yes,
I'm happy to time if that's.
Well, he wants to learn it, and I.
No, that's fine. But if in this practice session, timing is one of the most critical things you'll do as a facilitator. So if at all possible.
Let me work on it.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we'll try it with the phone. All right. Taria, would you like to choose a listener? Did I do that wrong? She's supposed to be the speaker now. No, we still ask for volunteers for the speaker.
See, this is where I get all confused too.
Okay. All right.
I was the listener, and so since I was the listener, I become the speaker.
Right.
Okay.
And choose my listener.
You ask and you say, would you listen? Yeah, choose your listener.
I have been the listener, so I become the speaker. And this is so, I feel dyslexic. But so I'm just repeating it to get it. I'm the listener. I was the listener. I become the speaker, and now I will see if, well, Alex, you want to listen to me?
I would really like to.
Well, I guess the most alive thing in me in this moment is this awe and celebration about the country in which you live that gives 4 years of paid maternity leave, or 2, or however it is. It's just like astonishing to me. I want to go back and be childbearing age again and move to the Czech Republic. Thank you very much.
So you're reflecting upon how astonishing and in awe you are of hearing of a country where there may be 2 up to 4 years of paid maternity leave, and how this makes you want to go back to childbearing age and be able to do all of that and move to the Czech Republic.
Yes. Oh, I hope that the train outside my door isn't too loud. Oh, I just feel so touched and tenderized hearing of this possibility. Like, really? On this earth? Yeah, I'll pause there just because I'm wonderstruck.
So you're quite astounded by the fact that such a thing exists on this planet that perhaps you've not heard of before.
Yeah, thank you. And now I have something to say about the topic about if I was going to start a country, what would I found it on? And I feel sort of giddy that I get to actually say this. Because I would found a country where in the water, in the very crystalline pure water, there was this magic substance that lets everyone's right brain take precedence over the left.
So the idea of being allowed being able to start your own country has brings you a lot of joy to be able to bring the concept of enabling people's right brains to take precedence over their left through drinking water.
No, I'm just kind of reveling in that. I didn't know I get to like have such free reign with my imagination, but I'm enjoying it.
So you're enjoying the ability to sort of imagine freely.
Yes, thank you. I feel wonderfully heard and fully expressed. And our timer worked great.
Yeah, great. All right, Joyce. You came through, Joyce.
Well, I didn't want it to make a noise.
No,
That's why I
you-
got this timer.
It's good. Yeah, no, it is good to make a noise.
Oh, it is?
Well, yeah, because what it can be diagnostic. And so what I mean by that is when the timer goes off, I don't make it like I turn it off after 1 or 2 times. I don't mean it like just going on and on, but it when you do the sound cue, if the person, is just talking and stuff, a lot of times they'll hear it, and they'll kind of just wrap up naturally. If they don't hear it, then that is telling me that they're really into it. So again, we talked about the art of facilitation, and the 2 things that at least I'm trying to balance is for the person to feel heard, but for everyone to feel heard. Mm-hmm. And so when I hear that, then generally what I do is, if they just keep on going on, then I give them a visual cue. Mm-hmm. Now, a visual cue is very different from an auditory cue in this sense, because a visual cue, people can go on. If you say something, people feel the need to respond, that stops their process. The timer is just like a neutral thing, and people will just kind of take that in. And then if they don't hear that, and then they're starting to go on, I give them, usually what I do is that if they don't hear the auditory cue, I let them kind of finish, and hopefully they finish within 30 seconds or so. If not, then I'll come with this. But if they do, then I allow another response. And then when the responder is on, I give him the cue so that the speaker is not interrupted for that second time as much as possible. Now, again, if they just keep on going on and on, like I am right now, you give them the boom, you come up and you just, you just gotta, show it. And you may need to, very rarely does that happen, but sometimes you say, oh, it sounds great. You'll get a chance to speak your next speaking turn.
Do you think my phone will leave it on timer for a little while, but it won't stay 3 minutes without going blank, and then I have to start completely over. I have to go back to the home button and set up the timer thing again. Probably, is there a setting somewhere in the phone that I can make it make the screen stay where it is for 3 minutes?
I think Alex has an answer for you.
I don't know if it's an answer, but because I don't know what type of phone you have,
Mm-hmm.
but do you have a smartphone?
Yeah, it's an iPhone.
I mean, in theory, like I've got the same, and it should stay. I mean, so you've got the option of alarm, stopwatch, and timer. Am I right?
Yes.
Right.
And the timer, you can set it to 3 minutes.
Right. I did
and
that.
it should stay.
Well, it keeps timing. It does keep timing correctly. Once I get back to it, it still says, okay, we're down to 45 seconds or whatever. But it still disappears from the screen, and it goes back to the home, and I have to start over to open up the timer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly what it doesn't sound, but it could be that you have your phone set to sleep.
I'll check that. I'll check that setting.
Yeah, and so I have my phone is that it never sleeps. So so at 5 minutes or something, it goes off or something. That might be it. Doesn't sound quite like it because you said you're going back to your home screen. So the other thing I would do is restart your phone. Do a hard reset, which is depending upon which one, but you push the buttons, you hold it, and then it so it reinstalls the software.
Okay, I ran into this the last time I tried to use my phone as a timer. That's why I bought this other one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. I'm not going to do the restart today because I think I do have a sleep setting, and I think that may be the issue. But
okay, great. Anyway. Alex?
I was just going to ask if maybe you could get an egg timer, something really visual for you. It wouldn't have the sound.
With the tick, tick, tick.
Yeah.
but it's handy. You don't have batteries.
I tried it. Well, those go tick, 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 don't they?
No.
I guess you could have that one. I was thinking of the sand, literally made, the sand where you turn it, an hourglass.
Oh, that's an idea.
Yeah.
I don't really have to pay attention to it
That's right. We've used those in cafes, and we have to move on. But we've used those in cafes with people with 3-minute timers or 5-minute timers. The problem is that you're stuck with whatever that time limit is in that particular sense. But they're pretty cheap. So, like in a cafe, we used them, and that we just passed them up because there were not enough facilitators.
But you'll have to have 3 different ones in case the timer is 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5
Right.
minutes.
I know.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So, Taria or Alex, who would like to go next?
You mean as facilitator?
Yeah, doing your facilitation.
I can try.
Great, Alex. Okay. All right. And so we'll assume, did you want to do the how-to or not?
Is it expected?
No, in this session, it's not. You've had a chance to practice it twice, but if you feel that would be the most educational benefit for you, by all means.
Sure, I might do it, to be honest, just because I think it might be beneficial for me.
Okay, great.
Okay. I will do my best to not waffle.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody, welcome to this Empathy Circle. My name is Alex, and I will be facilitating today. So for those of you who are new to Empathy Circles, I'll just briefly explain what that means. So it's a place where people can share and learn about themselves, but also sometimes learn about each other. The structure is really quite straightforward. You've got 3-minute sessions where one person speaks, not for 3 minutes though, talk about that in a second. One person reflects what is spoken about, and everyone else observes quietly and doesn't interact. So the speaker should speak about a subject, which I will give you, and every now and again, quite often, you can pause so that the person listening can reflect your own words back at you. Maybe not exactly, but something along those lines to demonstrate that they've truly heard what was said. And then it goes backwards and forwards like this for about 3 minutes, and I will set a timer so that you can hear when the 3 minutes are up, and you can finish speaking if you want to then. I think for now, that's kind of all you really need to know. Are there any questions at all?
Okay. How is that, Alex, for you?
It was good. It was better than last week where I kind of
Okay.
got lost, but it was because I was distracted by not having a timer and not having audio and visual cues, and it was, yeah, that was better. Thank you.
No. Okay. Taria, Joyce?
I thought it was very clear. And she spoke slowly enough so we can all gather it. She didn't rush through it like I do.
I just find your voice very easy to listen to.
And
Maybe
she's warm. You're warm and inviting.
On a good day. Sorry.
That's okay. If you're not having fun, we're not doing it right. Go ahead.
And also I wanted to actually thank you, Joyce, for reminding me, because I have the habit of rushing through my words, and so it was really good to just remember to slow down, because I can't take stuff in when it goes too fast. So
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I thought it was good, and very clear, very warm and inviting. I would spend a little bit more time. Again, the trickiest part is the active listener. And so just to, like adding, like we listen to a reflect, not respond. And sometimes, I say, we're kind of conditioned to responding. And that gives people, it doesn't make them feel so judged when they respond. Instead of reflecting, you have to correct them. And that's it. And then the other, it was sort of like, reflect the best. Don't get into the gray areas for this, too much. we say, you can paraphrase, you can parrot if you want, or, any sort of reflection. But the idea is to just reflect as best you can what you're hearing. Because that also goes back to some of the questions about people with disabilities. So like I've had people with multiple sclerosis, which affects their cognitive abilities. So they felt very guilty about having to take notes. And I told them that's fine. The idea is for people to feel heard the best way as possible.
Would you recommend extending someone's time if they have something like multiple sclerosis, where they can't actually speak as fast as?
That would be, yes. You usually if you're doing in a group like this, it's 5 minutes, and that should be enough for people to really kind of at least get, something. So that should cover it. But I have done that. Not a lot. Again, it's always, that's the art, but 30 seconds, maybe more, or something like that, or follow up. And then if a person really seems to be having problems or struggling, sometimes, rarely, but I do offer, like after the circle, we'll have like a little, stay on and we'll listen to make you feel heard. If somehow the structure of the circle is not meeting their needs.
Yeah, thank you. That reminds me actually that when I think we did inclusivity, I volunteered with XR for a while, and the recommendation was to ask people what we can do best to make sure that everyone is included, and if they've got things that they would that they would need to make it so that we can be as inclusive as possible. I forgot about that actually.
Yeah, and one other thing, we will speak about the topic or whatever's on your mind. That's also very important. So that people can go off topic. And we say that as kind of an afterthought, it's okay. And sometimes we assume it, but it's really good, especially for first timers, to know it's okay to go off topic. And that sometimes can proactively reduce any sort of resistance.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, we're way behind time here, so I apologize. And but good. All right. So let's do a short circle. Yeah.
Okay. Bill, do you want to be included in the circle? Or
You can call on me, yes, because that's what you do, because we're egalitarian, and so therefore I'm included in everything.
Right. Okay. So as facilitator, I will listen first, but I will invite one of you three to put your hands up if you would like to speak first. I will tell you the subject, which is a suggestion. So either you can talk about whatever's on your mind now,
right, yeah.
Or maybe perhaps describe the role of laughter or comedy in your life. Yeah.
Laughter and comedy.
Is that okay?
Sure. Whatever.
Who would like to speak?
Did you say comedy?
Laughter or comedy? Yeah. What role has it played in your life?
Sure. I'll speak.
Okay.
Okay. I love comedy. And it's sometimes too much. I'll stop.
Okay, so you love comedy, and sometimes you love comedy too much.
Right. Because I always, I love to laugh. I love to make other people laugh. Other people, yeah. And then sometimes I will think something's funny, and the social situation just doesn't call for it.
Okay. So you do love to laugh, and you like to make people laugh, but sometimes the situation in which you're in doesn't call for laughter.
Right. And I actually have a joke about that. And that was, it's a pretty famous joke. Mrs. Lincoln, after the shooting at Ford's Theater, somebody said, "Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you like the show?"
distracted me quite a lot. Sorry. So you have a joke that sort of gives an example of a situation where laughter is sometimes not appropriate. Do you want me to repeat the joke?
Whatever you want to do. You don't have to.
I'm not sure how that works, because I'm terrible at jokes and kill the punchline. But there was a joke about yes, a shooting and Mrs. Lincoln.
Right. And then as a special ed teacher, I try to defuse situations, and I'll give you one story. This high school student wasn't getting off the bus. The bus driver had to pick up other special needs kids, and he just was refusing to get off the bus. So normally I went in and I knew him and he knew me, and I wasn't near him. So he knew that this was not a real thing. It was a joke, because you have to do that. And I said, "Do you need a hug?" And so he looked at me, and this was a great comeback. And he said, "Ooh, who'd want to be hugged by an old fit man like you?"
So you work in special educational needs, and so diffusing situations is something that you need to be able to do. And you gave an example of a story on a bus where some children were refusing to get off. Am I right?
One kid was, yeah.
A child was refusing to get off, and you offered to hug them as a means of diffusion, and they jokingly said in return to you that, like, yeah, why would I want to get hugged by you?
Right.
Right. And that's your time is up.
Right. And I'll just finish that. So he could reject me, save face, and then we kind of just walked. I didn't give him a hug, and then we just walked into class. But he could reject me. That was the saving face thing. And so we said, "All right, let's go into school now." And then that was it. Thank you. I feel fully heard.
Excellent. Thank you. So because you were the speaker, I believe, am I wrong? I get this.
You're the listener. Yeah. You're the first listener. Now you're the speaker.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, and you choose to listen.
Okay, so therefore, thank you very much, Bill. Because I was the listener, I will now become the speaker, and I would like to ask Victoria, would you like to listen to me?
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, comedy, laughter. Comedy and laughter have played quite a crucial role in my life, for lots of different reasons. One for, basic entertainment. I like laughing, but also actually as a means of sort of coping, through difficult times. I'll pause.
Yeah. So this topic about comedy and laughter that you propose is really meaningful to you. Laughter and comedy have had a very crucial role in your life. Just one for entertainment, of course, but also how deeply it's helped you cope.
And so I, in difficult times, I actively seek stuff that I find light and entertaining, specifically funny, and that is unrelated to problems that I might be going through.
So in difficult times, you actively seek these resources of comedy and laughter, and particularly you want them unrelated to the problems that you're actually confronting.
Yeah. And so and I think I have two particular stories. One is in terms of about using comedy as sort of like a coping mechanism, and one is where I lived in a country which can be quite chaotic yet and difficult to live in, and people there use comedy as a means of coping. And essentially, I learned this idea that basically, if you what was it? If you don't want to cry, laugh, basically, or something along those lines. Yeah,
citing that you did live in a country that was difficult to live in, chaotic, And there people used humor and laughter, comedy on purpose to cope. And you got to see that, and that awoke something in you like, oh, I can do that too. And you adopted that also as a way to cope. If I either laugh or cry, and I'd rather laugh.
Yes. But what was quite interesting was I heard a lecture recently by a man whose name I can't remember, but I will look it up because I want to. And he spoke about indigenous worldviews and how actually comedy is like an essential part of well-being. It's not just entertainment, it actually is, and it's crucial to sort of human well-being.
Wow. So a researcher that you'll find his name later wrote about, for indigenous cultures, they really recognize comedy, laughter as an essential part of well-being, not just coping entertainment, but really well-being. And that's deeply felt and integrated in you.
Yeah, and I was, I think there were 20 ideas about sort of let's say dominant worldviews versus, not say versus, but as opposed to or something, indigenous worldviews, and it really struck a chord in me that comedy would be included in that, as well as others, and I think I was quite pleased about that. It made me happy, you know, just knowing that made me genuinely happy.
And I didn't get quite the two lists, but I do get that because comedy appeared on the indigenous culture list, that really made you happy. It really means something to you, something you can celebrate.
Thank you. I'm going to stop there because I admit that I didn't put a timer on, and I feel like that feels like 3 minutes, so I'm going to stop.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah.
Thank you. Next time. Thank you. I feel heard. Yes. So Turia, since you listened, you can choose a speaker. Over to you.
I speak, and I choose a. Is that right?
Yes.
I need my set adjusted. Let's see. Joyce, would you be willing to be my listener?
I would be delighted to be your listener.
Yeah, I think I'm going to move away from the topic, even though I love the topic. But I think it would be beneficial for me to express some of what my experience is as I'm right here in the circle.
What you have said so far is that you would like to move away from the established topic and talk a little bit about your experiences as you live through this circle.
Yes, I love the way you put live through the circle. I have all kinds of things going off in me about trust and belonging. And there's really a very young one in me that never felt like she knew how to belong as a human being. And what I experience here invites my young one to want to belong to this humanity. And she's really she's a little stuck and astonished and anxious, wanting to trust and wanting to be good enough to belong. There you go.
Thank you for sharing that. what I'm hearing you say is that as you listen to and participate in this process, a great number of different feelings are, quote, going off in you. About trust and belonging. There's a young person inside you who isn't quite sure how to belong, and yet you're feeling in the group that this young person is invited to belong, and she's kind of stuck and kind of anxious and ready to trust and be good, just working that out.
Mm, mm. Yeah, she's really shy and is aware that in order to get by as a very shy person, I have pretended sometimes to be otherwise. And so, of course, I'm always afraid of being found out.
Oh, I hear you saying that this person inside you is really shy, and she's aware that as a shy person, she sometimes pretends in order that she fits.
Yeah, and important to be heard for me is that she then feels really anxious that she'll be found out, that she's really shy and she doesn't know how to put words and thoughts together at all because she's just too shy.
Oh. An important point for you is that others understand that she is anxious about being found out, that she is shy, and that she doesn't quite know how to put the words together that she wants to express herself.
Yeah, thank you. I see time is up. Thank you very much. I feel well heard and happy to have the chance to be heard in that.
All right.
Okay. I just want to take a quick time out. I know we're, again, running a little bit behind. Alex, you didn't ask for any challenges. I just want to know if that was okay. That was my fault.
I thought about asking and then forgot, to be completely honest.
Okay. All right. Just, okay. So let's take a little bit. Is there a challenge, Alex, a type of challenge that you have a question about?
Well, not necessarily. I don't think so. I think one would just be, the extreme, where someone is genuinely disruptive, and has it ever happened to you that you've actually, or do you know of a situation where you've actually had to say, I'm sorry, but you can't be here anymore? And if such a case happens, is there like a backup plan for what if? Because yeah.
Sure. First of all, that depends upon your personal capacity and the capacity of the people in the room. So the idea, I mean, for me, I want everybody, as the most amount of people to get to be heard. There are times I've contemplated that. I would have done it, what can I say? So to me, when is the circle not the circle? In other words, are people following the rules? Okay, so that's one thing. And then the other thing is when people, and usually this will be, they'll start to make a personal attack. They might be completely within the rules and doing it, but you can talk about whatever you want, and that's important. And then sometimes we call this, rather than a safe space, a brave space, because most of the time what you get is what you get. I mean, 99% of the time, people are nice, they're feeling heard. The structure lends itself towards kind of calming and de-escalation for a lot of reasons. But sometimes people are just, they're listening to their inner, self, and they're not responding. In that case, what I say, if they're not doing the process, I would say that, well, you're not doing the process. This is a tool Doesn't mean you're not empathic. This is if they object to it, generally. It doesn't mean you're not empathic or you're not a good person. You're, a good person. It's not working for you right now. So I would encourage you to, contact me if you want and then we can, do a buddy call or something like that. You can offer that if you wish. It's not like a have to. And then there's the real abusive person. I have that happen once, very rare. And I would set a limit. Others would not. I have to say that other people would do it differently. But because of my nature and my work as a special education teacher, I was protecting people from abuse. And if I see abuse going on, that's not okay. I don't care whether we're talking about an empathy circle or something else. It's just not okay. But that depends upon capacity and situations and things like that. So that's what I would say. Hey, it's not right for you. It sounds like, or I would just also comment on, it sounds like you're having a problem with what? This isn't a place for people to resolve, interpersonal problems. Or sometimes they just meet somebody and they target them. And if that person is, feeling attacked, I might say something. I might invite them to leave, or again, there are gray areas. They might go through the circle, although be uncomfortable. And then I might, and I've done this, offered to listen to the person afterwards, one-on-one, to try to, recenter them and things like that. The person who has been attacked. Yeah, Joyce.
Well, I wanted to hear that, but I'm afraid I need to take a bathroom break. So
that's fine. Okay.
Right back.
Okay, great. That's fine. And by the way, allow people. Our time is short here, so we don't do it. But we talk about it in the training. If you need to get a glass of water or a bathroom break, by all means. And that's good to know in the circle. This isn't again. I date myself, but est. I don't know if you remember, but there was a psychological training where you weren't allowed to take a bathroom break, and needless to say, I did not join. Okay, so your question actually deserves more of a full answer than I was able to give. I hope did I make any sense at all?
No, absolutely. It totally makes sense. I mean, and I also do understand that it's actually genuinely rare. I mean, I do.
Yeah,
I do know that.
But you will get some people. They're just looking at their own movie. And then you have to see if you can support them, but also protect the rest of the group. I think you have to protect the rest of the group. Where and how you do that. That's something that's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Taria, you can start.
Okay.
And
do we have time for me to do the how-to?
If you feel that would be the best, spending of your time, we have about 20 minutes. So, it's going to be really short. Yes, by all means.
Okay, thank you. Oh, there's Joyce. Welcome back, because we're just getting started and welcoming each other, and I'm really happy to have this opportunity to get to know people and be together in this practice of speaking and listening. And imagine some people have come here because they know how good it feels to be fully heard. So that's our goal here today. And we have a structure to support that goal. And we'll briefly describe it. It's up for questions if you have them. We're going to be together for an hour. And during that hour, we'll rotate buddies through the circle. There will be a speaker and an active listener. And they'll each have 3 minutes. There'll be 3 minutes for them to have a dialogue. And everyone else will be a silent listener, offering structure and support for the container we're building together. So as we go, the speaker is invited to share brief bits, like 1 or 2 ideas, and then the active listener will reflect. And I love the phrase a mentor gave me of, we're reflecting, not responding. You know, we're very conditioned in our ways of listening to give our opinions or ask more questions, things like that. And those are all lovely in a certain setting. But here, we're just going to reflect what we hear as the most important things that the speaker has shared. And let's see. I think that covers the basis.
Okay.
Where are there questions people have?
Good.
I have 2 more strategic points. Is one, I'll offer a topic, and you're welcome to speak on that topic or on anything that's more interesting and alive for you right now. What you'd like to be heard about, what you'd like to express. And then the way it works, I'll start, and as a facilitator will time us, and when the 3 minutes are up, I'll put my phone up. And since I start as the listener, I will ask someone to speak. And when our time is up, then I, as the listener, will become the speaker and invite someone to listen to me. Okay, so.
Good. Okay, so I'm just going to give you some quick feedback here. So really, you know, well done. Again, warm, inviting. You asked, you outlined the roles. You asked people about if they have any questions. The only thing that I would say is that when the active listener and speaker, it's not a dialogue, and that can confuse people. So you made an excellent active listener description. So that would basically clarify it. But just to remember, it's not a dialogue. So people then might start to respond as in a dialogue. So yeah, go ahead, Joyce. Yeah.
I liked her pace. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm conscious of that right now, but she wasn't moving too fast. She was giving us time to absorb the information.
Okay, great. All right. And Taria, do you want any challenges?
Oh, no. Breathing is enough of a challenge for me.
Breathing and talking. All right. So set the topic and off we go.
Okay, so a topic that I would, that surfaces for me is the question of, how does vulnerability live in you, for yourself, your own vulnerability, and when you're in the presence of others? And that, or anything that is more alive for you. So I am listening first. So is there anyone who is moved to speak first?
I would do that.
Go, Joyce, go.
Joyce.
All right. I like this topic very much, but I've actually had a chance to think about the topic of laughter or comedy in my life. So I think I would rather talk about that. I think for me, comedy has, or actually having the opportunity to make people laugh has been for me a way of making a situation comfortable between 2 people who don't know each other, even if people do know each other.
So even though you like the vulnerability topic, this one about comedy and laughter, you had a time to incubate it a little bit, and it comes up and you realize, like, you really enjoy when you have the opportunity to make people laugh, how it contributes to comfort between people, whether they know each other or not.
Mm-hmm. And it makes people relax. It even makes, well, I don't know if this is true, but I think it even makes pets relax. Because if I say something that I think is funny and I'm walking the dog, I think that communicates itself, you know. I'm not sure about that, but I think so. Another aspect of laughter that I think is important, and I think it works not just for people who are ill, but for people who are healthy, and that is that it stimulates health. And a story I like very much is, I think it was Norman Cousins who was suffering from cancer, and he read somewhere about the power of laughter. So he sat and watched silly Three Stooges movies, whatever he could get, and read silly things. And his art, he maintains that he cured himself of cancer.
Oh, I forgot the timer. Does anyone have any clue where we are?
I would give it a ballpark at about a minute left.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad I have a chance to reflect. You notice that laughter helps people relax, and maybe even your dog, like when you're out walking him and you think something funny, then you just get the sense. And then I think I may have dropped a little bit, but then you moved on to Norman Cousins. And as he was dealing with cancer, he supported himself by getting all kinds of humorous, funny movies and things, and he did very well. And so you really love remembering that and knowing that laughter and humor can be healing and really support people's well-being.
Yes, but I'm also very aware of inappropriate comedy, and I don't like comedy that's hurtful to people. And some comedy, it's not that the language, it's not that people use this bad language, it's that they use it over and over and over and over again until you're so tired of the F word, you think, what's funny about this? So there are times when comedy is inappropriate too, and I'm very aware of that.
Yeah. And I see our time is up, but just to hold the sensitivity that as much as you love comedy and laughter, there's also a part of it that can be hurtful, and you really would like people to be respectful and conscious of that. Thank you.
And be aware of language and how to, if it's not original, then if it gets so repetitive, it's not funny anymore.
And when it's repetitive, it's just not funny anymore. And holding that awareness of language.
Thank you. I feel fully heard.
Thank you. Now, okay, so I become the speaker. Really? I feel like I've been talking all day.
You're the speaker,
Okay.
the listener.
Bill, would you be willing to listen to me?
Sure, happily. Love to listen.
Thank you. Well, I want to talk about something that's related to comedy and laughter. It's called play, because I love play. And in fact, my business card / playing card is playing on purpose. And I'm really looking forward to my nervous system healing enough where I can be in play much more of the time.
So you wanted to talk a little bit about something that's tangential to comedy, and that's play. And your, I guess, business card says play and purpose, or in other words, it's very important to you. And you're noticing that when you're feeling healed and better, the more you can play.
Yeah. And I think that play it's a pathway to healing. Maybe just like other people have been talking about comedy and laughter. Just 2 nights ago, I I'd had a very challenging day, and I brought myself fully present to just the menial chores I was doing, putting my pills in the pill box. And I just expanded into this playful state. Now, I have been filling that same pill box for 30 years, but all of a sudden it was brand new to me. And the pills were dancing with each other. And there was just play, like abundant play available to me. And I felt like, oh, game over. This is the way I want to live.
So you were talking about recently you had a very trying day, and you were in the process of just kind of placing your pills in the pill box. And then you kind of looked at it with new eyes. In other words, you fed just all of a sudden you saw the pills dancing with each other and moving around. And then you allowed yourself to kind of morph into that feeling of play. And you realized that that's where you want to be more of the time.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you for hearing me. And I just betcha that when I or anyone is fully present, that there would be an option for play, however small, but it could be just a little tributary into a more expansive world. And our time is up.
All right, good. So you wanted to, in the diversity of the experience that is life, you'd like to have a little set aside for play in whatever's happening. And in other words, have play, or at least that state of mind, inform your actions at all times.
Oh, I love that. Have that state of mind inform my actions at all times. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you.
Good.
And with that, we'll draw this circle to a close, I think.
Okay. All right. So we have about 8 minutes or so. And I just want to ask Turiya, what do you feel? Would you like to debrief a little bit now? Or would you like to continue? Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. So how was that for you then? Why don't you start off?
You know, I'm disappointed that it must be the anxiety that comes up, because I just can't track who's the speaker and who's the listener. And you know, I had that problem last week, and I've worked on it this week. But I worked on it wrong. So it's no wonder that I'm confused again. But that gets me anxious, and it gets me out of my right brain. So I have to work harder to hear people. When I'm really in my right brain, I just connect with people's meaning more easily. But these left brain kind of things are hard for me.
So I'll quickly respond to that. First of all, you're not alone. A lot of people. So yeah, a lot of people go through that. And so one mnemonic clue is that L becomes before S in the alphabet. So you can. That's one way somebody has kind of done that. So you listen first and then you speak.
Thank you. Okay, filtering in.
That does help.
Okay. All right. Feedback for Turiya.
I just felt that. Wait a minute. So we're giving her feedback as facilitator, not as what she said, right?
Right.
Well, other than being a little confused about what comes where, you did a great job. You even kept the time where all that was going on.
Thank you.
And that's left brain.
I need to borrow someone's left brain.
I wonder, are there exercises people can do to exercise the left brain? There might be. Just Google that and see. I don't know.
What a good idea. my left brain loves strategies.
Great. Alex, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, it felt like a very enjoyable place to be in. It's relaxed and comfortable. Yeah, it was generally nice. And I think, you know, with strategies, you won't need to worry about, you know, keeping things, and also practice. For me, practice makes perfect, definitely. You know, you get, yeah, and you learn. I'm learning things like, for example, for me, I'm going to tell myself this next time, is that as the facilitator, I need to listen, then I need to speak, and then it's over to the next person. Hopefully that will help me. So L and S, like you said, in the alphabet. Thanks, Bill. It's handy. But no, thank you. That was really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just make a general comment is that practice is important here. You'll start to, because you know, at first you have to learn as just to participate, to reflect, not respond. And then as a facilitator, you have to do that and you're still participating, but then you have to keep track of all the time. Is everybody getting heard, et cetera, et cetera. And as Luke is a good analogy of like driving, learning to drive. At first, you're focused on the clutch or the brake or one aspect of it, and then it becomes second nature and you can put it all together. And so, you know, now when you drive, it's a sort of a gestalt. Most people, you know, that you just say, oh, I have to avoid that. And your body knows what to do, either to brake or to swerve or whatever. So we encourage you to practice. You can take this training as many times as you want. We have people who have done that, excellent facilitators who, you know, took it 5 times before they started to facilitate. And so just let you know, slow doesn't mean bad. You know, it's just you start to get, mostly I encourage you to be self-aware of what you're doing, where your growth areas are, and then how that's affecting. You don't have to be perfect for people to get the circle experience, but you have to do certain things, you know, that sort of thing. We have a minute. Any other quick comment or question?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I kind of have to apologize for, you know, the timing being a little bit tight. And I would have liked to giving you guys much longer. But you'll have a chance next week. It'll be mostly relaxed. There won't be any challenges or anything. And you'll have a chance to facilitate again, or at least, yeah, you should have a chance. Not everybody, sometimes people do a little bit differently. I like to give one of the participants a chance to just facilitate the circle. They have that chance. The other way is to come to cafes and other things like that, you know, and then you get some real life experience there. And generally it works very well. The most thing that comes up is technical problems. Yeah, Joyce?
What do you think about gradually working into this? My building trust group is going to go set up a booth at the Juneteenth celebration on the 18th, I think. And my co-partner, my coordinator of that group wants to start empathy circles at that Juneteenth meeting at our booth. Well, I've just finished the training. She hasn't had any training. So it seems to me that we should try some empathic listening and maybe timing, but not necessarily try to set up a formal structure and make the whole thing work as one unit. What about taking a piecemeal approach and just working on the listening technique?
That's fine when it's very hard to set up a whole circle in an improvisational, like a festival or something like that. So what Edwin does, and we can go into this a little bit more depth because I see Alex also has an issue or a question. But like Edwin has a business card saying 10 minutes of free listening. And just come over, listen. We have a little game. How empathic are you? You read people's faces. We have Hershey's Kisses. You can have an empathy kiss. and just make people comfortable and listen to them. So start it when in doubt, just start with the listening. And then there are various kind of strategies that Edwin has put together that we can elaborate on. And
We have cookies too. That's great. Thank you.
Alex, what did you want to say?
I was just going to ask, there's a possibility that I would be running empathy circles and sort of putting a general invitation out to people going to it. What I was wondering was, what happens if 20 people sign up and, all of them turn up and it's just me as a facilitator? I mean, does that change?
Well, are you doing it online?
Yes. So I guess it's kind of a similar question to Joyce's, actually.
Right. So you can ask, if it's online, you can ask to the email. You have access to the facilitator email, and you can say, this is where this is happening. Can I have some volunteer facilitators? If you know that, if they're, that's one thing. The other thing that we do is that in a situation like that, we do what's called the Fishbowl, whereas you take 5 people out of the 20, and then you role model you do the how-to, you role model it, and then you show people how to do it, and then you split them into groups.
Okay. I guess you have to trust those people a little bit, don't you?
In a certain sense, sometimes you do, or you could keep the fishbowl rolling if you wanted to. If people are ready, as again, you have creative control.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So people should be coming back here.
Okay, we're in the main room.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. All right.
Is this everyone?
No.
Okay.
No. The other people there. Now people should be popping in, whether they like it or not.
Yes. Bill, at some point, could you say a little more about that games idea? It doesn't have to be during this session, but I'd like to know more about that.
I'm sorry, the games, or?
You mentioned that there were some games that Lou would use to sort of introduce people to the circle.
Oh yeah, there's Edwin. Sure. You have my email, so
yes.
yeah. So we should connect over that.
Okay, good.
Okay. So welcome back. I'm in speaker view, so I can't see everyone right now, but is Linda here? Is she back?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Linda. So you're doing the full group debrief.
Okay. All right. Okay, everybody's back. We're going to go around and say what we specifically, if you can do that you learned today, what you got out of the session today in terms of what skills or something specific, that little nugget that you're taking away from today. So everyone will have, like we started, 30 seconds, and I'll just call on someone, and we'll start with Taria.
Thank you. I think the most thing that I'm trying to get into focus is L before S. Yes, thank you.
Yes, listen first, speak second. Listen first, speak second. All right, Alex.
Well, I got to practice sort of the introduction to facilitating again, which is good. We sort of discussed the idea of challenges and how to work with them, and it was just generally an interesting session, I would say.
Okay. Joyce?
Oh, I always learn a lot in these sessions, and I've learned I need to slow down. I'm not sure I've learned how to slow down, but again, the L before S, listen before speaking, helps with figuring out how we move through the circle. And I'm still learning when to let something go as a distraction and when to speak up and comment to the distractor.
That comes in time, Joyce. Maureen?
Yes, yeah, it was a very nice circle. I was put out a little bit, being asked to facilitate again, as I thought I was no longer a student for the facilitation. But it was a wonderful experience and very nice people.
Great. Dr. Lisa?
Yes, so I had the ability to have the insight into like the topics and what topics do we choose and what depth are we trying to go into. And then I think I also have identified some things within me as far as like the aftermath of the session, like when people are leaving and what place they are in after discussing maybe some heavy topics. So those are some things that are just bubbling up to the surface for me.
Interesting. Very good. Okay. Leslie?
Yeah, I had an eye-opening experience with challenges today in that Selena offered a challenge. I'm so accustomed to there sort of being like a more brusque or hard edge, like something just really pushing hard into the space with challenges. And Selena offered, someone who is really just trying to be helpful. And it just really reoriented me to, as she reminded me, like speaking to the values and the roles, not the person, and actually giving that person empathy, wherever they're coming in with their kind of challenge. So it was a really helpful experience.
Good. All right, we'll do Daniel and then Mike. Daniel?
Well, I learned a couple specific things today, what to do about somebody who can't stand the process, how to react. The first thing is to reflect back on their displeasure with the process. And the other thing I learned was I got to do something different with my camera. I bought a new camera and I'm still not used to it. I'm too small.
But you're still important. All right, Mike.
You're muted, Mike.
Okay. I had a couple of challenges by Lou, and that was challenging. and I felt we had a really good group. The topic of community grieving came up, and that's something I want to explore or have us explore.
Okay. Jen?
Yeah, we had a really wonderful group experience, and yeah, the challenges I was interacting with some challenges and how to deal with it in the moment, and I was realizing about what happens when you get triggered, or if you get triggered in a circle, and yeah, just realize the value of having self-empathy in that moment and taking a deep breath and regulating, emotions, and yeah, and really speaking what's present, when it's my turn, or being present to myself and reflecting that to the group, I guess.
Great.
Thank you.
John?
We had a great session. Issa got to show off her acting chops and show a wide range of tears and anger and it was great. Brought up a good topic around privacy and confidentiality. We talked a little bit about that, but it also, in the challenge, it was a good reminder to share some of the focus on the person that the challenger was directing their anger at. Like, that person deserves empathy as well in that situation, especially if they're new to this. You want them to feel like welcome. So share a little bit of the attention from, like, on the challenger and the person directing it.
All right, Marisa.
Yeah, I'm resonating with what Jen just mentioned in terms of, giving ourselves a moment when we are activated. I went into this session hoping to just practice my intro. I asked for a very small challenge and I ended up getting a big one because I was the person who was activated by what one of the speakers was saying and had to figure out how to move through that in that moment. And it was really, really just a powerful experience to be held through that. And I'm really glad in retrospect that I had the opportunity to do that with the group that I was with.
Thank you. Gabby?
I did not ask for any challenge today, and I was celebrating it, the self-empathy that I needed. And for me, it was important how I show up and how I am transparent and honest with myself and with people in the circle, so we can hold a safe space also for everyone to be themselves.
Yes, being authentic is very important. Katie?
Yeah, so I really appreciated all of Issa's challenges that she gave out to everyone in our group. They were very believable. Yeah, I think, like John mentioned, the idea around privacy and confidentiality is something maybe we all wanted to get a bit more clarity on. Yeah, and just really, really nice learning experience today for me.
Santan, I know I'm tearing it up.
Sorry, I got that. I'm going to start my time. Yeah. So I love the way I found how I think Issa and Katie think. I wanted the hardest challenges, and Issa did not disappoint. Like, she gave like this amazing challenge to John, which was unanticipated, and both John and Katie have mentioned about it. Like these unaddressed questions of confidentiality and boundaries of the facilitator. Like, we can ask people to pause recording, but like, to what extent can we pause people from taking notes or remembering what has been shared? My time's already up. Yeah, I'll pause.
Okay, all right, thank you. Did I miss any of the participants? Do we have time to find out if some of our trainers want to hear from any of them?
We should. Yeah, we should. We have about 10 minutes.
Okay, keep it brief. Anybody wants to say what an amazing time or something they actually learned in the circle? Celine?
Well, I'm still mulling over this issue of the topic. I think it's very important, and there is a list on Edwin's site that you can look for and discover of topics that Lou has proposed in the past. I don't remember all of them, but I remember when I first saw that list, it was very valuable to me. So I recommend that as a resource.
Oh, thank you. Larry?
I love empathy circles. If anybody ever finds anything that works so simply and so profoundly for human beings to be transparent in an oasis of safety in the infinite universe, please let me know. Thank you.
Okay. Altonia?
Yeah, I'm just really just enjoying where we are. I'm enjoying the group that we have. I can tell that they're really taking in the learning. They're learning a lot because it's evident in the breakout rooms how they're facilitating and the techniques that they're using. And I learned a new way to show people time. So Gabby gave a heart when your time was up, and or clapping hands when you were not pausing enough. So I liked that idea. Learned something new today.
All right. Bill, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to, what I learned is I love watching people learn. And I just had so much respect for the people in my group who are really trying to learn, really getting into it. And that's very rich and rewarding. And I appreciate the work that's put in. That's it.
Great. Anne? Are you there, Anne? I think she's frozen.
Yeah, her connection is really bad.
Okay, we'll come back to Anne. Dwayne?
Yes, I had a really enjoyable experience today working with Isa and really being in a group with John for the first time. And Sayantan and Katie, who I'm very familiar with. I'm always a student first, and I'm always looking for, learning opportunities, learning experiences. And I also think that this process, this training, the learning for us as facilitators is really the beginning. And the more opportunities we have to facilitate, the more we're going to learn, the more that I learned. And I'm excited about all these new members of the team because I think, the more I learn about you, the participants in the training, I'm the more people are bringing so many resources to this process. And I really think it's important to acknowledge what people are bringing with them to this training experience and appreciating that. So I just wanted to say thank you for what you as participants are bringing and the learning opportunities you create for me as a trainer. Thank you.
Lou?
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Today was a wonderful breakout session. I was with Marisa and Mike and Linda. We did it together. And it was a very rich session, lots of good facilitating, lots of good responses to challenges. And I'd say one of the learnings for me that got reinforced that we were talking about at the end, we were reflecting on, was just the magic of doing the reflection. The two things that creates, which is having the speaker know that somebody's paying close attention to them and hearing what they're saying, the effect that has on the speaker, because we don't get that a lot in regular life. And then the second piece, which is the reflection, causes the thing to slow down so that everybody has a chance to reflect on what the speaker is saying, both the speaker and the other people in the circle, and how we live at a time, or generally things happen at a pace where things just happen back and forth, and we do one thing, go on to the next thing, that time to slow down and reflect just doesn't happen very often. And just so those two magical things are a lot of what creates safety and a lot of what creates reflectivity and humility in the circle.
Thank you, Lou. Anne? She was just there. She was just there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make.
You're breaking up. The sound. Hey, Ann, you're muted and your sound is bad. I don't think she can hear me. Where did she go? Okay.
The worst connection.
You may want to put your comments in chat and I'll read it for you, Ann.
Possible.
Yeah, you may want to just put it in chat and then we'll read it. And while she's doing that, I'll reflect.
Yeah, I can hear you, but you can't hear me.
Yeah.
Your voice is, yeah, it's a little muddled.
Just move on. My signal is so bad. Just carry on.
But you can put it in
Now it's
chat.
good.
That was good.
Yeah, that is better when your video is off.
She shared her comment. She learned what it's like for those who have poor connection.
Connections, okay. Can be
But we
very
could hear you
frustrating.
clearly when you switched off your video. And do you want to try again?
No. Okay, let me just say, I always learn something from these circles. And one of the things was about being heard helps build an individual's self-confidence, which I really hadn't given much thought to. But that's very important. It's important. Another reason why, you know, the circle works. It gives people confidence when they know that somebody's listening and what they have to say has value. And the other thing was, someone mentioned how the people in the circle feel when they leave. So I think debriefing, which is what we do here, but I think even when we hold our own circles, it's good to have a small debriefing at the end just to check in with everyone to see, you know, how they're doing. Even if the circle involved people with opposing views, it's just good to check in. So that was something I picked up today. Thank you very much. You want to give it another shot, Ann? I guess not. Okay.
Did we skip anyone? Did everyone go?
Yes, did everyone get a chance to speak?
I think so.
Okay, Gabby, Tony. Okay. All right, Ann is with us in spirit.
She put something else in the chat. She just said, well done to all the participants, especially to those in my breakout.
Yay to Ann. All right, now who do I turn this over to? Let me see.
Dwayne, since Ann is having connection problems.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's review what we did in this session. Everyone who wanted to practice facilitating a short empathy circle with an opportunity to practice working with challenges for those who felt ready. We provided extra time by skipping the how-to introduction when people requested that. We debriefed the experience at the end of the empathy circle. What's coming up next in session 5? Next week is an integration of your learnings, hearings, your feedback about the training, and a discussion about your next steps. In addition, we will revisit the values of a culture of empathy now that you have experienced the training. Excuse me. Your assignments will be sent out in an email. Remember to fill out the session feedback survey. The link is in the chat. Hold an empathy buddy call. And remember to reach out to each other. Also, if you have an opportunity to facilitate an empathy circle with family, friends, or one of the regular empathy circles, that's great. And think about how you see the empathy circle practice beginning to build a culture of empathy in your world, or as we like to call it now, being a part of the empathy movement. And before you go, please post one feeling in the chat that you have as a result of being here today. And as always, let's see. I will just really quickly read gratitude, peaceful, happy, thankful, a warm embrace, present, more questions, curious, unresolved grief, clarity, supported, clear, motivated, opening, and comfort, and understood.
Good. Understood.
Creative, alive, supported.
Very good.
And as always, we like to end with our jazz hands. Oh, I'd like to see. There's a message that was just added from Katie. Did you have a question, Katie?
Issa, I didn't get Issa.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Her experience today.
Okay.
Yes,
So
I'm so, why did you say something? Okay.
I was taking notes.
Okay.
So today, for me, what I learned was it's important to encourage everyone in the cohort to join the next cohorts and to also become a trainee, because it's such an awesome experience. Because I was busy with challenges, but I was also being the participant. So while I was challenging, I was also thinking how I would proceed and kind of interacting on both levels as a participant, but also challenger and kind of holding everything. So I look forward to other people joining, and really it's so much fun. And it's like I took a lot of notes and I could learn so much more. So I encourage everyone to join and keep growing, expanding together. Thank you.
Katie, thank you. Katie, did you have an opportunity? Okay, the screen moves, so I'm just trying to keep up with everyone. Okay, did I miss anyone that didn't have a chance to reflect? Okay.
And then there was one other comment from Anne that she sent a message to me directly, that she was disappointed at not being able to participate more. And so she just wanted us to know that.
Okay. That's okay.
And then the last thing is for us to do our jazz hands and say goodbye. Thank you all for participating, and see you next week.
Happy Memorial Day.
Take care.
Enjoy.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.